Hey, everybody. Keith Angle for TGI Sports Talk here. As you'll see, Mondays for this Patriot recap, we're going to be a little informal. I try to stay out of the studio during the early part of the week because I'm in the studio most of the rest of it. So hope you will forgive the informal surroundings, as it were. And if you don't like it, speak up. We'll consider doing this directly from the studio. But in any event, Patriots recap this week. They win 17-14 over the Pittsburgh Steelers. I thought I had predicted 19-16, so not too far off. I thought this would be a bit of a defensive battle, which it was. Two teams kind of searching for identity on offense. Two quarterbacks struggling a bit. But I saw a lot of good stuff from the Patriots yesterday. We'll dive into this a little bit in depth. Again, the Patriots got out quickly with a good drive to open the game again. At least their first drive after a punt, nearly a disastrous punt, by the way, which was mishandled. But once they got the ball, they drove the ball down the field pretty well. Again, similar to last week against Miami. And the drive did stall again inside the 20, inside the 10, really, or maybe even inside the 5. But Nick Folk puts points on the board, and the Patriots get out to a 3-0 lead. Mac Jones looked pretty good on this drive. They ran the ball pretty well. But then again, they kind of got stagnant a little bit. All in all, I will tell you that the offense was much better, I thought. Damian Harris was the Damian Harris we're used to watching, 71 yards yesterday and a touchdown. There were times where Ramondre Stevenson really looked like the force I think he will become. I still think he'll become the number one back on this team. He runs for 47 yards, averages 5 yards a carry. Only one catch for him, 2 catches for Harris in the passing game. Patriots did try to get him involved a couple of other times, but that did not work out. But I liked what the Patriots did running the football. 124 yards, average 4 yards a carry, and I think it really helped set up the passing game a little bit. The passing game was better. Better protection by far. I mean, Mac Jones in this game was only, let's see. Where's Mac Jones? Mac Jones didn't have any sacks yesterday. He was protected much better, rushed only a couple of different times. There were a few, he made some really good throws to beat some man-to-man coverage yesterday. They won a jump ball yesterday with Nelson Aguilar, not Devontae Parker. Last week it turns into an interception, a big interception. This one turns into a big play for a touchdown. There's still some times where Mac Jones makes some bad decisions. He does throw an interception yesterday. Could have had another one at least. So, again, I need to see better decision-making out of Mac Jones for sure. His quarterback rating here was only 56 yesterday. So he was 21 of 35 for 252 yards, a touchdown and an interception. Only averaged 7 yards a pass again. Something the Patriots are going to need to do is stretch the field more. I had talked earlier in the week in some of the previews that they had to get Kendrick more and more involved. I do believe he was in for 20-plus plays yesterday, 21, I think, if I remember right. He did have 3 targets, 2 catches for 16 yards. Still not enough. And don't forget, during the week, Robert Kraft, very uncharacteristically, I think, getting involved in the actual, conversation about game planning, mentioned that he wanted to see Kendrick Bourne much more involved in this offense and also out of whatever doghouse he's in. The scuttlebutt was he and Matt Patricia are having some problems communicating. Hopefully that communication is improving because I do think Kendrick Bourne's an important part of this offense. He was very, very good last year down the stretch. Last week he was almost non-existent, but today a little bit more. Again, not a lot more targets. He only had 2 targets last week, 3 this week. But again, involved in 21 play in the game for 21 plays. He needs to be in for more, in my mind. On the plus side, Nelson Aguilar, probably his best game as a Patriot. 6 catches, 110 yards. That touchdown that I mentioned for 44 yards. He had 6 targets, 6 catches. Jacoby Myers was his usual dependable self. 9 catches, 95 yards. Bunch of first downs. Did have 13 targets. But he's not going to go for any big plays, as it were. He's only scored 2 touchdowns his entire career. His long yesterday was 24 yards, but a very dependable receiver, obviously. The disappointments here, again, in the passing game, some bad decision-making by Mac Jones at times. Sometimes he looks just like the Mac Jones from last year. Other times he reverts to, and I do think it's partly because of, I don't know. I don't want to say lack of confidence, but lack of comfort level so far with the new offensive scheme. Concern about the play calling, concern about everybody being on the same page, concern about the pass blocking, which again, yesterday was much better. So let's give them some credit. So still some concern there. Concerns in the fact that the tight ends were like non-existent yesterday. 4 targets, 1 for Henry only, 3 for Jonnu Smith, who's been a bust since he came here. The worst signing of this group that they signed 2 years ago in that big off season. Any other surprises here on offense? Not so much. Defensively, I thought they played very well again. I think the Patriots, I know one of the scores for the Steelers was on a short field after they tried a long field goal, so they got the ball around midfield, or even maybe would have been around right around midfield. They got the ball. But the Patriots, Mitch Trubisky was not. I thought they kept him guessing. They put pretty good pressure on him yesterday. Maybe not a lot of sacks. There's only 3 sacks in this game, but they did hurry him a lot, hurried him out of the pocket, had him running. He did run only once for 7 yards, but there were times where they were chasing him out of the pocket, and probably all 3 of the sacks. Why he's not throwing the ball away once he's out of the tackle box is beyond me. But he did give up 3 sacks. Defensively for the Patriots, Miles Bryant played very, very well. Got shook up late in this game, but he did have 8 tackles, 5 solo, 1 pass defense. Jalen Mills, I thought, played a really, really good game. Bentley got hurt early in this game, or not early in this game, but later on in this game. I'm not sure how serious he's hurt. I had a list here of, a couple injuries to be concerned about. Godshaw got hurt his back yesterday. Bentley hurt his back as well, and Kyle Duggar hurt his knee yesterday. So no official word just yet on how severe these injuries might be, but Duggar was seen in pretty good spirits in the locker room post game, so that's a good sign for him. Elsewhere on the defensive front, Dietrich Wise, Lawrence Guy played very well up front again. Juden, who has been the best signing of that group last year for sure. He's the leader. There's no doubt in my mind he and McCourty are the leaders of this offense, or this defense rather. And Juden's around every big play. Had a great pass defense. Probably got away with a pass interference in the fourth quarter. I'd like to see him turn his head around on that play and maybe not risk the flag, but they let him play. And he came out ahead in that. Devin McCourty was around the football a lot. Not a lot going on. 3 tackles, 1 solo, 1 pass defense. A pretty good contribution from Jabril Peppers yesterday, where he was not involved really week 1 at all. Yesterday, he made a couple of big stops. Only 3 total tackles for 2 yards. I'm sorry, and two solo tackles. But he had a couple of important plays in this second half of this game. So he played much better. Special teams, a little scary. We had 1 interception for 13 yards. The kick returns were a little scary. I thought Pierre Strong had 24 yards, made one bad decision to bring the ball out of the end zone. Don't want to see that. Kyle Duggar did have a return, too, for 37 yards yesterday. And Bryant did struggle a little bit. He had 3 returns for 22 yards, but that first punt return, a little scary. He had trouble handling the ball, fumbled it, muffed it, I should say, into the end zone. Steelers did recover it. Some confusion. I'm sitting amongst a bunch of Steeler fans who are, I guess the Steelers didn't recover it, but went out of bounds. They were calling for a safety, but he never had control of the football. So the rules are that's a touchback. Steeler fans get used to that. It's a touchback. Where else? The kicking game, Folk was 1 of 2. He missed a 52-yarder, I believe, and 2 extra points. Still pretty consistent. The 52-yarder wasn't his best effort, but Nick Folk still steady, and he'll likely hold on to this job much longer. Jake Bailey, not quite as good as last week when he kicked a couple of balls inside the 10 and another one, I think, right at the 10. Yesterday he had 4 kicks, averaged 41 yards a kick, 2 touchbacks, though, and only 1 inside the 20. So a little bit of a worse game for Bailey yesterday. As far as team stats go, not a lot to differentiate these 2 teams on offense other than the scoreboard. 17-14, as we said. First downs, 18 of 16 for the Patriots. Third down efficiency, another place the Patriots can improve. They let the Steelers did get 8 of 15, but the Patriots themselves were better, even 9 of 17. But the Patriots need to improve that third down efficiency. There was times they needed to get off the field and they didn't. But again, something to work on. So total plays, Patriots did have 6 more plays than the Steelers, but they did outgain them 376 to 243. So that's pretty impressive. The drives are about even, 9 to 10. What else is important here? Penalties. Again, a place the Patriots have got to get better. Too many penalties yesterday. 7 for 55 yards, and they had them in big spots. A couple times they had some nice offensive plays, and the plays got called back. They did capitalize on a Steeler penalty after a fumbled punt. They did recover that fumbled punt and got an unsportsmanlike contact on top of it to give them really good field position and set up that Damian Harris touchdown. But another place for this team to improve is going to be on the penalties topic. Okay, this has been a problem for the Patriots, I think, the last couple of years. A team that had always been pretty disciplined in this regard has gotten a little bit lax 2 years ago, especially some last year. It did improve, I thought, as the year went on, especially when they hit that streak in midseason. This year, though, so far, way too many penalties. They've got to clean that up. And defense, the special teams, I think, have been coming along. So, again, very underrated part of the game and things to keep an eye on going forward that they need to clean up. Some topics of note for me during the course of this game. Just want to pull my notes out here a little bit. Let's see. Anyway. Aguirre, again, his emergence yesterday was the biggest story of the day for me. Again, basically a non-factor, I think, since they signed him. But I was very impressed with what he did yesterday. Whether he can continue that will remain to be seen. And Parker is the guy that's going to be, the downfield guy, and Aguirre may be working underneath on the other side of Jacoby Myers and maybe can help. Kendrick Bourne also needs to get more involved there, as we talked about. Mac Jones did a great job, as we talked about, beating the man coverage. Some of the decision-making needs to be touched up, though. His decision-making has regressed a bit from last year. And again, I'm not sure if that's really whether he just needs confidence in himself in this new system, But I do think things are improving there. I think the play calling from Matt Patricia, much more cohesive, if you want, much more targeted and in tune with what they were trying to accomplish yesterday. I thought they had a really good game plan yesterday. What else? Jones again, decision making, too many no chance balls, and he's got to get much better. Lucky only got away with one interception yesterday. We talked about Matt Patricia. I think he did a much better job yesterday. He gave Jones some crossing routes and also the running game kind of set up some of those outside attack passes, if you will, including the one to Aguiar, which turned into a touchdown. What else? The zone coverage. There were times where the zone was a bit soft and Trubisky took advantage of it. But for the most part, I think they did a good job of rotating that zone coverage and forcing Trubisky into an interception and confusing him a little bit. So, I think they did a good job disguising their defenses for the most part yesterday. A better, more experienced quarterback than Mitch Trubisky, though, might have taken advantage of that. Jabril Peppers, as we said, flashed some signs of what he can provide in 10 snaps yesterday. I do think that he'll see more playing time as we go on, and injuries and whatnot predicate that. The problem for him is that Patriots are very deep at the safety position and a little short at the cornerback situation, and I don't think he fits there. I'm not sure that any of the Patriot safeties really are a good fit to fill in on that corner from time to time. Matthew Judon, we talked about another huge defensive play. Maybe gets away with a bit of a face guard, and he did make some contact before the ball was there or as the ball got there, depending on how you look at it. I thought the offensive line was much, much better than it was last week. Certainly was not flawless, but I think we saw some good improvement along that line. And again, that is part of the adjustment and getting comfortable with this new scheme. They did a good job of returning to the power and gap running game, as I said last week, or earlier in this, I should say, earlier in this broadcast. So they had a couple of really good game plans, I think, both weeks. They got away from it last week. Yesterday, they stuck with it a little bit better. They did use the run to close out the game. Classic Patriot style is to kind of get out in front and in that fourth quarter try to run the ball and run out the clock, which I thought they did a pretty good job of most of all. I thought Ramondre Stevenson and Damian Harris showed really good patience behind the blockers and certainly more speed and more power out of both of them yesterday. Ramondre Harris had a couple of runs that really make you salivate at what his potential can be. And then we talked about the injuries as well. So again, overall, a win's a win, guys. 17-14, very happy. Certainly making some progress last week's game. And Miami might be better. You saw what Miami did coming back yesterday against the Ravens after falling way behind. So maybe the Dolphins are better than we give them credit for, or I gave them credit for. And that loss later in the year won't look so bad. And the Patriots continue this type of progress. Hopefully, we can put ourselves in a better position. Get away 2-2 here. We got Baltimore coming up at home this coming week, and then we go to Green Bay for a tough game the week after that. This coming week, I think, is important. I always said it was going to be a rough September. Get away 2-2. You should be very happy because the 4 games after that, the Patriots got a shot at running the table and being 6-2, 5-3 at worst. Got to get this win against Baltimore at home, a team they've had trouble with, especially with Lamar Jackson through the years. A lot of these games, they've not had an answer for what Lamar Jackson brings to the field. But if they can do some good job of confusing him and find a way to keep him from, taking over the game with his legs, I think they'll be in very good shape. And we'll do a preview later in the week for this game. And pretty much that's it, guys. Good game for the Patriots. Good progress. That's all we can hope for right now. We got to look for little things that we can find. Keith Engel, TGI Sports Talk. Go Pats, 1-1. Not a bad day yesterday, and hopefully better things to come. Have a great day.